Today's Wednesday, May 20th, 2020. You know what time it is.
You're tuned in to the Elevator Radio Show, a weekly program dedicated to covering news and information on elevators, escalators, and moving walkways. Produced in the wee hours of the morning, a new show is uploaded every Wednesday, sometimes even before you get out of bed. Listen to some of the comments sent in from our audience.
Rob from New York writes, Tom, are you f***ing insane? You actually get up at 2 a.m. each Wednesday to put this show out? Man, you must love elevators. Tim from Illinois writes, I'm not sure why I listened, but ever since I tuned into the first show back in 2007, I've been addicted. Matt in Texas writes, I like your safety messages, Tom. It's important to remember them each and every day. And he also adds, when am I going to win the monthly prize pack giveaway? Ron from California sent this in. Despite your inability to pronounce words in the English language, I tune in each week and am glad that you offer this service to the industry. It's better than Google News alerts. Sarah from Washington writes, love the show, Tom, and look forward to it each week. I'm glad I signed up for the newsletter. You provide a valuable resource for the industry, not only for North America, but worldwide.
Enjoy the show. And now, here's your sleep-deprived host, Tom Seibert.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Good afternoon, good evening, whenever you're tuning into this show. It is good to have you aboard the Elevator Radio Show Express, where, yes, everybody flies first class. Anyway, good to have you. Hey, thanks for understanding and not doing the show last week. I could not do it. I was having a hard time doing today's show, to be honest with you. But the reality is that I just need a little bit of normalcy. I think we all do. And I was thinking about it this morning that Monday is Memorial Day, and it just seemed to put things in perspective a little bit more for me when I truly remembered and just wanted to convey the message of how important Memorial Day is to our country, to our loved ones in our family, those that we may have gone to high school with who have died either during peacetime or during war or during campaign. And the reality is that COVID-19 is nothing in comparison to Memorial Day. So Monday is the day we don't think about COVID-19. We don't think about this pandemic. We remember those fallen heroes who have given the ultimate sacrifice. So please, Monday, none of this stuff. Get your barbecues out. Share the stories of your loved ones, those that you knew, your families, your friends. And share those stories because it is vitally important that we share those with our younger generations so that those heroes are never forgotten. COVID-19, Memorial Day is, man, it's so much more important than this daily barrage of media and fighting and conspiracy theories and all of that, because nobody feels it like, more than I do, I don't think. And I was trying to explain to my wonderful wife last night just some of the frustration that I'm seeing in Illinois, because we live here. And it is, I just told her, I'm like, listen, I do not know why I care so much. And it comes down to a couple of fundamental reasons. One is just the damage it's doing to our livelihoods, to so many livelihoods. My livelihood, not so much right now. It will definitely, it's starting to make a bigger impact. But as an essential business, I shouldn't be complaining. I should be like, hey, yeah, it is what it is. Your businesses that have closed, suck it up. But I know how hard it is to run a small business. I know the sacrifices those business owners have made. And I know that at the end of the day, they have a better idea on how to ensure the safety of their customers better than our wonderful government, who has yet to come up with some type of guideline for reopening stores and businesses in Illinois. And that is, I guess, my frustrating part. And again, I don't have to care. I shouldn't care. But at the end of the day, It is just literally destroying so many lives and so many livelihoods out there. And I'm not taking anything away from this pandemic or the seriousness of what it has done and what it can do. I have an issue with the models. I have an issue with some of the initial statistics and data that is being used to create those models. And I am getting tired of a billionaire who wants to keep everybody safe in Illinois not having a clue or not listening to the people who he serves. And it's very frustrating because people are suffering. And I do believe that we can be safe. We can open the economy both at the same time. I know we can do it. But right now, it just feels like somebody's stepping on throats of the constituents of Illinois, and it just does not feel good. So, hey, I'm doing my best, keeping my people safe, done everything I possibly have done to do that, increased disinfection schedules. And maybe what I'll do is I'll go into some of those details on next week's show, because the reality is that the news is somewhat light as it relates to content, and we'll just see if we can't just ramble on to some extent. And hopefully this gives you a little escape for your day and your day. And it helps me to get it out, even though it's not exactly the easiest thing to do. So I do value the friendships that you bring to me, and some of you out there are. I'm greatly appreciative for that and the emails and stuff that you've sent. So here we are today. Remember, Monday is not a national pandemic day. It's a day that I hope to goodness the media does not just continue to shove down our throats with the latest news and scare tactics and all that stuff, because it happens every day. And just know that Memorial Day, Monday, is a billion times more important than talking about COVID-19 and the models and the metrics and the scientists. And the reality is that we are the home of the free. We are the home of the brave. And so many have sacrificed their lives so that we can have our freedoms. And there's nothing more important than that. So Monday, please share those stories. Make sure our younger generations, our kids, our grandkids, our nieces, our nephews, hear the stories that only you know. And let's make sure that we never forget those who have given the ultimate sacrifice this upcoming Monday. And we honestly should be remembering this every day. But think about it. Memorial Day, COVID-19, there's no comparison whatsoever. So let's just focus on Memorial Day over the weekend and visit a cemetery. Go look at gravestones. Go imagine what those soldiers were like when they were defending our country and our freedoms. So that's the best thing I can give to all of you to try to get your minds off of of this wonderful thing that we're all going through. So, and just hang in there. There will be a day when this is not necessarily the normal, and just keep washing your hands, be smart, and as it comes to common sense, we should all just be practicing that anyway. If this thing has done anything, it has done one thing, and that is to ensure that we all understand that transmission of germs and viruses can happen, whether it's the flu or anything. So it's important that we all do our best to keep our hands clean, do all that. So, and it's sad that it's required. It's taken this to get to that point. Anyway, so that's it. We're gonna get to the news next, and we'll have you out of here in no time. So again, thanks for tuning in. So up next is the news.
Let this week's news stories give you a lift on what's happening in the vertical transportation arena. Each news segment is organically dug and fresh with news stories of the week. Got lift? If not, stay tuned.
All right, so news for this week. Since it was 2 weeks, there were a couple of articles that talked about the issues and the concerns about riding elevators and viruses. At the end of the day, there's really no conclusive evidence, and there won't be for a long time because there's so many different kind of elevators, there's so many different kind of situations, speeds, whatever. So the reality is these articles don't make a difference at this point in time until there are some type of evidence or detailed statistical information on riding elevators and whether or not they possibly could give transmission. And that goes, if you think elevators might be a concern, you might want to rethink the riding of an Uber. How about that? So, but I think what happened in this case is we literally had a bunch of news media outlets latching on to any possible thing that was coronavirus that they could, share or latch or, drive traffic to the website with, whether it's riding Uber, whether it's riding an elevator, whether it's sitting on a public toilet, whether it's walking down the street. It's just a whole bunch of stuff that literally is not, I don't think, relevant. So, and that's just unfortunate, but it is what it is. Any keyword you might type in, eating cotton candy, I think you'll find something along the same lines of, can you catch coronavirus eating cotton candy? I guess you probably could, so let's worry about that. Anyway, but there's some interesting tidbits. This coming from Wired Magazine, which I thought were, a little bit helpful. It's not obviously given or written by a doctor, I don't think. I didn't see that information. So again, anything that's online, remember that there's a good chance it's not even, it's not correct. It could be incorrect. So little tidbits here based on, so this is editorial assistant. And when you start reading stuff, make sure you start looking at who's actually giving the information and the credentials that are behind it. Because a lot of the stuff that's being shared is just a bunch of garbage. It's just a bunch of garbage. And again, applying common sense is going to be important as we move through this in any kind of issue or pandemic like this. Here's another one coming from NJ.com, True New Jersey. Elevators are a claustrophobic coronavirus nightmare. There may be new rules for riding them. There already are. And when we're talking about rules, we're talking about rules that as they relate to building owners requesting them, limiting the number of people in an elevator. I think the local hospital here is limiting it one at a time. And I think some colleges and universities are looking at using stairwells to move traffic. I mean, I don't know how you couldn't possibly get COVID-19 by using the stairs if there are lots of people using them. So, there's a whole bunch of issues that relate to trying to basically pay Peter to pay Paul, or borrow from Peter to pay Paul, whatever the heck that saying is. And the reality is that it's, the world we live in is not a sterile environment. It's not a sterile environment. It is one that is designed to, we are soft beings. We're soft entities. A harsh environment is the world we live in, whether it's weather, whether it's whatever it is. It's meant to take us out. So, from the smallest microbe to the largest, animal on the planet, the reality is that we are fragile. It does not take much to end our lives, to stop us from breathing, to stop our heart. So reality is that it is what it is. So we just have to deal with it. Life could end tomorrow, could end in 5 minutes for me. I don't know. It's just one of those things. So we have to put that all in perspective. We're not going to live forever. We're not going to be able to create a world that's safe for everybody. And I swear, if we spent as much energy, money, and time trying to solve some of the other issues in our world, I would love to see that. I would love to see that. Because at the end of the day, it's amazing, just how much is being, basically sent this way. And I, at the end of the day, I just don't understand, the goal of testing. And this is the big thing that, we got to test everybody. Well, if you test everybody on Monday, okay, everybody is tested on a Monday. Nobody, and some people have it, some people don't. And then you keep testing. I mean, you could have it, but you may not test positive for it. You could have it, and you could be asymptomatic. So, I mean, there's no treatment for it other than trying to stop the spread. So it's just, there's not a whole lot we can do at this point, right? There's not a whole lot. So, but what you are going to see is cities rethinking how they set up how they design, how they set up their streets, how they close things down as a result of this. So next article is how smart city planning could slow future pandemics. Obviously for cities like New York or highly concentrated, cities, there's not a lot you can do. You can't just tear buildings down and make things bigger, but I guarantee you there'll be a day you'll see people in tubes, maybe like the Judsons, where you're riding in a tube that's basically enclosed, so you can't be affected by any of that. Maybe, I don't know. It'd be interesting to see what happens, but the reality is that lots of cities have already been built. So let's use some common sense. This next article I found, this one drives me crazy because I hear this a lot from some of our government officials in Illinois, and they talk about taking risk to mitigate liability as it relates to COVID-19 and whether or not it's safe to open in the state of Illinois. Here, their position is if you open up or you reopen as a business, that you are under some liability. The concern is they say this, and it doesn't, in my opinion, doesn't affect anything. But they say if you are possibly, if you open up early, against the advice of the state mandate that may be in place, you could be liable for lawsuits because of it. And to my response to that is you could be liable to any kind of lawsuit for being open. And I don't believe there are any. I don't believe any insurance policies at this time cover COVID-19 as it relates to workers' compensation or product liability or building, building liability, or what do you call it? If somebody comes to your building, and I guess it's general liability. But it just drove me crazy. This is not worth even reading, but it says elevator restrictions are part of a number of new changes landlords and office tenants are making to ensure safer workplaces and to reduce liability. Reality is that we're all doing our best to try to just keep people safe. We don't exactly know what those are. It's kind of like just, driving a car without your headlights, or maybe one headlight, or maybe a fog light. And we're just doing the best we can. But it's a sad day when I have to, 3 sinks we have in our men's washroom, I got to block off the middle one, so people aren't too close to each other, yet, they're close enough when they pass each other in the door. And, it's again, common sense is the key here. And we have a lot of people who are just struggling with this whole thing. But in terms of changing things to reduce liability, in our litigious society, there's no way in hell this is going to make a difference. It really isn't. It was also the week of lots of market reports, but this time being released and, worldwide, this time through various blog posts and other aggregate means and just garbage. This time it's talking about, it does mention COVID-19. I don't know necessarily how they could know that right off the bat, what the next 6 years are going to look like in result of the COVID, the pandemic. But I guess in a month they figured all that out. Also, IoT and elevator market is expected to reach U.S. dollars of $60 billion. I don't know how that would generate or how that would work, but that's a lot of money for Internet of Things. or how that figures out. But I just thought that was interesting. Sometimes I think they put these reports out and just plug words in, these keywords in, just to see what pulls back. Here's one of it. It's a week for releasing market reports, and there's one. COVID-19 impact, temporary surge in sales of elevator safety system product observed amid panic buying by consumers. This is a press release, actually. I should not have even linked this. I'm sorry about that. Yeah, but there's no way anybody could know what the full impact of this pandemic is on our industry yet or on devices. But there are shortages of lots of stuff, not necessarily elevator related yet, but you are going to see that as it trickles down and things start to reopen again. And last thing I'm going to play you 2 videos, and you'll be done. It's a short show today. Again, remember these Memorial Day's Monday. Please take that day to remember. Let's not talk about COVID, pandemic, all that crap. Let's just let it go. Go for a walk. Go to your local cemetery and just reflect. Pull some photos out and remember those who, just remember those. And for all you veterans out there, thank you for serving. You are heroes as well in our book, in my book, in everybody's book. Greatly appreciated your service, and we will never forget.
Memorial Day is about honoring the fallen, the heroes of America who have given the ultimate sacrifice in our defense and in defense of freedom.
Freedom is not free. People sacrifice their lives for the freedoms that we call free here in America. So to remember those is to honor those. Greater love has no one than this, than to lay one's life down for his friends.
We must remember and honor our fallen with overwhelming aloha, for they are our heroes.
Take time to understand what each of these plaques represent. Their lives, their families, the stories, the campaigns they fought in, Iwo Jima, Tinian, Guam, Midway, Afghanistan, Iraq. There are so many different campaigns, so many battles have been fought in defense of us.
All right, everybody, you take care. Have a great rest of the week. And remember, Monday is not a day of the pandemic. It is a day to remember. We'll talk to you next week. Take care. Bye-bye.
If we look to the answer as to why for so many years we achieved so much, prospered as no other people on earth, it was because here in this land we unleashed the energy and individual genius of man to a greater extent than has ever been done before. Freedom and the dignity of the individual have been more available and assured here than in any other place on earth.